Hello! Welcome back to the channel, guys, and welcome back to the series Golds of Game Pass. Today we're going to look at Cyber Shadow. So what is Cyber Shadow? It's a very fun little platform game, honestly. Definitely, if you like ninjas, you're gonna like this game. It's basically, as you're gonna see from this little cutscene back there, a big kaboom, big nuclear explosion destroys basically everything, and you're the sole survivor of your clan. So I mean, just from there, I think you guys are hooked. You guys are gonna enjoy it. You're trying to bring back vengeance or honor. I don't want to spoil the story, but yeah, you're basically the sole survivor, and you're set off on this quest, right? Typical story, good versus bad, or maybe bad versus good. I don't know. I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, typical story. Nothing out of this world. Very fun. It is very fun. The story will be There won't be anything that you would be like, holy shit, did not see that one coming. No, nothing like that. It's not over the top. But there will be some things in the story that you'll be like, God damn, man, I feel bad for this guy, poor man. There's going to be some things that you learn from this character that will honestly surprise you. There were some things I was like, well, poor man, dude, poor man. But overall, very fun little platformer. It takes its inspiration, personally, from what I have seen, from Metroid Fusion and Metroid Zero Mission. I think that's the other one for the Game Boy Advance. It takes a lot of inspiration from those games. I don't know. It might be just because I could be just tripping. I could just be completely crazy here, guys. But especially right now, if you see the video, he's standing on this little platform. That reminds me a lot of the Metroid platforms that you stand there to recharge. In Fusion, you recharge, you get your health and your missiles and everything back. It reminds me a lot of that, a lot. And there was like 2 or 3 bosses that I looked that looked a lot like bosses from Metroid Fusion. Obviously, I'm getting inspiration from that game. There's nothing bad from it. They gave it their own twist, and honestly, I hate these bosses more because this game is difficult. It is not it's not over the top, in difficulty. It's not like, holy shit, you're gonna have to play one stage 8 times, 10 times, 20 times to learn where the enemies are, their movements, so you could like bypass it, or finish it, etc. Because you're gonna die so often. No, nothing like that. You could obviously beat this the first time around. You won't die that often. You will die. There will be some areas where it'll be like a curveball and you will die. I will admit that. It's a challenging game, but it's pretty fun. It's not too easy, not too hard. It has a challenge curve, and I like that. But the first couple bosses that I fought, nothing over the top. But since they were inspired by the Fusion, I believe it's inspired by. If not, it's just a huge ass coincidence, honestly. But there was one monster that I was like, God damn it, I prefer the Fusion, Metroid Fusion boss than this shit, because it was just frustrating. I felt that particular boss, out of all the bosses that I faced in this whole game, I felt that one was intentionally made harder just to make it harder. Honestly, had they gotten rid of I don't want to spoil it because it's a tough boss fight, but again, I kind of want to do it because I think they just made it harder to make it harder. There was no reason to make it like this. First of all, it's a water. Well, it's not water. But if you remember Metroid Fusion, there's a boss that is basically a dragon. A dragon, and it's in the water, and he does fast attacks. That's where you get your powers to speed up, back and forth, etc. Well, this guy, in this game, it's basically the same. He throws fire, but instead of having like platforms that are there's like these boxes that fall that you have to break open so that a platform opens in the water. And it's just, first, if you lose the platforms, you're stuck in the water and you're super slow, and the dragon or the monster is just gonna, or the snake, whatever you want to call it, is gonna fucking destroy you. Like, it's just gonna fucking obliterate you. So you have to focus on the dragon. Plus, you have to focus on the on having enough platforms to stand on. Plus, you have to focus to make sure you don't land on the water. And then you have to focus when he's gonna do his speed attack or his other attacks that he has. And I felt that one mission particularly. I'm speaking out of turn because this is not like the bad part of the video where I use my complaint. I say my complaints about the game, but I just felt it was just harder. It was harder than it needed to be, honestly. But besides that particular boss, there were other ones that were obviously challenging, but they were quite fun. I honestly liked it. I had no problem with it. Very fun. Very fun. All the bosses, they were unique, except for the ones that obviously took inspiration from Metroid Fusion. A lot of power-ups here. You do have different power-ups that will obviously help you. When I mean power-ups for this game, I mean that they are power-ups in terms of like abilities that you will gain. That will be like drops from enemies or from a save point station or a recharge station, if you want to call it. Not including the powers that you earn, throughout the game that you're actually able to use whenever you want. So there's a good, a good number of powers that you could use, that you could combine, that you want to try out. Very fun. Never felt like it got repetitive. There's different ways I could engage into a fight. The story again, very typical, but again, you're a ninja, so can't complain, I guess. Overall, very fun, very good. Yeah, overall, I was already speaking about it in the last point. The game is really good, guys. It has the story, again, typical, but the power-ups and the enemies, honestly, I feel, is where this game shines. The stages are very unique. All of them feel different. All of them have their own challenges, their own monsters that, you feel like, God damn it, they fucking suck. But once you are able to defeat them, once you understand how they fight, how you play, it's very enjoyable, overall, there was never an enemy that, honestly, I felt that it was just, it was a bastard, or that it was literally, you needed luck to beat them. Nah, all of them were, very, how can I say, very original, I guess, very original. Their attacks, each of them fought a little bit different. It made the experience fun. I never felt like I was fighting the same enemy twice, just with different skins. All of them felt like they had their own purpose, their own motives in that area. And what I like about it is that according to certain areas that you're at, you will fight certain types of enemies. Now you will be, well, I mean, that's completely normal, and that should be the standard, you moron. I completely agree, guys. But what I mean by this is that the monsters and the stages go so well together, very well. Like, I mean, I'm talking about, like, it makes sense what you will find there and what the story is telling you. So once you're actually there, you'll be like, holy shit, I can honestly see why this monster would be here, unlike most games where, you will fight the lesser enemies or the grunts of every single game. You'll find them throughout all of the stages, and you'll be like, okay, come on, I'm in the fucking end of this game, I'm in the boss's base, in the higher levels. Why are there grunts here? Well, I should be only fighting elite versions of these, or I should be fighting the top bodyguards of them. Why is there a random ass grunt level enemy all the way in this important place, and that's where it shines. If the enemies were fun, the powers you gained were very good. Some of them are hard to master, but once you master them, they're really fun to pull off, especially how the combos work in this game. There's no combo meter. There's nothing that you could actually like combo per se. But once you know your abilities, you're able to combine certain abilities perfectly, and they work so well together that you're like, that works out pretty well, And there's some bosses that you will need a certain power, in terms of it'll make the boss fight easier. In certain aspects, you don't have to use that ability, that power, but it's gonna help a lot. And honestly, since this game is a challenging game, I honestly think that it just works out perfectly, honestly. Okay, so I talked great things about this game, but there are some that I felt were just complete bullshit, and honestly, it didn't come up too often, but it just really just got me out of the game. Like, I was like, God damn it, I really don't want to do this. And it was those bosses they made difficult. just to make them difficult, not because it was necessary, not because it was actually required, not because there's an actual point of them being so difficult in that certain stage or in that level. They were just harder to be harder, you know. And honestly, out of all the bosses that this game has, it was probably only 3 which I felt were ridiculously hard just to be hard, not because, you know, it just didn't make sense compared to all the other bosses, you know. One of them, and that's the only one I'm gonna talk about, not the other ones, don't want to spoil it, is the fucking dragon. Like, honestly, it just pissed me off. And you fight him early in the game. He's not even like that far into the game, much like Metroid Fusion. You know, so again, the comparison, obviously, I'm pretty sure at this point that there was some inspiration from that game. But he was just fucking ridiculously difficult for no fucking reason. And it's not that he's a difficult boss in itself. It's the constant things of worrying about the water and the platforms that made it more difficult, you know? And you do have a power-up that you have that really makes the fight easier. And without it, honestly, I think this boss is just ridiculously hard without that one power-up that you have, which is like a fire attack that you do upwards. That makes the fight really, it doesn't make it like super easy. It's not like, oh, it's really hard without this power up, without it, you know, without it, but with it, it's just a breeze. No, it's still difficult because you still have to worry about the water, about the platforms, and about him and his attacks, because he also destroys your platforms. Forgot to mention that. So yeah, but you honestly, if you do not use that ability, I didn't do it for the first like 20 times, I'm not lying, that I faced him. It was just fucking brutal, and I was like, I almost quit the game right there and then. Then I'm like, okay, how about if I use this ability? Because I remembered I had it. I was an idiot. I forgot it, so it could have been my fault. That could have been exactly how they wanted you to fight him. But once I used it, it was a lot easier, you know? And it was still a difficult fight, but it was much easier. Overall, I think that's the only complaint I have about it. There were some enemies that were also annoying. There's especially this one area in a certain stage, you know, with toxic things, you know, that's all I want to say. But it was just fucking ridiculous. That stage was also ridiculous. And again, it's just like, why do you need to make that an enemy when in itself the toxic area is an enemy already? Why do you need these certain creatures to do that? You'll know exactly where you can find it. But overall, there wasn't too many bad things. It was just some certain things I was like, fuck this. There was no reason to do that. But yeah, you know. What can I say? There was just some certain bad parts. Overall, not too many. Okay, so 3.9 out of 5. Why not the 4? Honestly, the game is good. It's very fun to play. Honestly, it reminds me of these old classic platformers, sorry, especially Metroid for the Game Boy, you know. Reminds me a lot about it. You know, overall, very fun, very good game. The soundtrack is fucking killing it, dude. Honestly, it reminds me so much of those classical games. But it's just the issue. I have an issue where, not an issue, but honestly, I just felt a little bit betrayed in that sense. Honestly, it could honestly deserve the 4 out of 5, but for me, I'm not gonna give it the 4, just because there's no reason. There was really no reason to make those stages or those bosses harder than it needed to be when in itself it was already a difficult fight, especially when this game is difficult. And I just felt it's a lazy way to make the game longer or make the player stay there more hours than it should, you know? And that's why it earns a 3.9 out of 5. Again, very good game. Definitely you'll enjoy it. Just be careful with those stages or that boss that I mentioned, or bosses. Overall, very fun. Again, it's in the Game Pass, so you could honestly download it. Xbox, PC, you could download it for free. Try it out. If you're on Steam, I think it's also on Steam. You could definitely pay for it. You know, very fun game. Highly recommend it. If you love Metroid, Mission Zero, or Fusion, you'll love this game. Okay, guys? So, I will see you next time. If you want to keep watching, if you guys want to see more reviews of these types, please hit that like, hit that subscribe, leave a comment, guys, and I will catch you later. All right? Peace.